And we are recording. All right. Okay, this is Greg Myers, and we're going to do a Bikeside Chat. I'm sitting here next to my 1950 Ariel Square 4 that I'm restoring, and maybe if I do more of these, you'll see me think about how I'm going to work on it and do some improvements as we go along, and then in the future maybe we'll see me start it and actually ride it. So first of all, I got to tell you, I've been a physician for 40 years, and so I have a few things medical to say and about this whole coronavirus situation. And the first thing is that I am actually a little optimistic because the United States is going on lockdown, and the National Library of Medicine shows that there are a number of ideas out there. Some of them as simple as using old medicines or even hair dryers to combat the virus. And we'll see which one of these pans out. It's going to take a little time to figure out, but there's some good minds working on this. Okay, and so I thought I'd throw my mind in, which is not maybe as good as some of them, but it's okay anyhow. So I will publish a list of some of these things that are going on, and you can look at my Facebook site for those. And for now, the story is stay home if you possibly can, and work on something that you love. And here's something I love, and I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to think about the future when I'll be able to go out and ride it. And I'm thinking about the schematic diagrams that I'm using to interpret how to hook this thing together. And I'm thinking about studying what different things like oil that I'm going to use, and looking and talking to other people that have Ariel Square 4s on the internet to see what they think of what I'm doing. And so you need to get your mind away from current events sometimes. You need an alternative state of consciousness to go to when you're sitting at home with maybe one other person. So anyhow, do that, and maybe when you wake up in the morning, turn over to your spouse and say, what are we going to have for dinner? And then come up with something that you can look forward to for dinner. And what this means is maybe you can make something a little more complicated, where you futz with it a little bit during the day, okay? And it'll give you something to do. Anyhow, paint the bedroom, whatever, okay? And speaking of food, go into the pantry and look around and make a mental summary of all the stuff in the pantry. And then you can think about, well, what could I make that's interesting but not too complicated and would go far. And so I've come up with a few things, and here's just a little tidbit of something you could make that I know that your kids would just gobble up, and that is what you call Sesame Noodles or Thai noodles. And what it is using peanut butter, probably smooth peanut butter, and soy sauce, and maybe a little sriracha, and a little bit of cooking oil. Like I like to use peanut oil or sesame oil, okay? And you mix that all up, you put it in the microwave, and it makes kind of this slurry sauce. And you can put that sauce on noodles, you can put it on ramen, you can put it on potatoes, you could put it on steamed vegetables, and there are names around the world for this, okay? This is something that people do. This isn't just crazy talk here. Anyhow, it tastes really good. If you're crazy like my wife, maybe on top of that you'll put some jelly. So anyhow, we'll see. You send me your results, okay? Another thing that comes to mind is, did you know you can freeze milk? You can actually freeze milk. And you can't freeze cheese, you can't freeze yogurt, but you can freeze milk. And if you have some citrus fruit that's looking a little bit old, then squeeze it into an ice cube tray and put it in the freezer, and then take it out and use it as you need to. You could take a little jigger of vodka and put an ice cube of lemon juice in it, or whatever. Okay. Potatoes are really good because you can spread whatever you have on top of a potato and serve a family of 5 with a can of chili. You just put the can of chili on top of the potato, and it is very satisfying. You do that with anything in a potato. Take the potato, roll it around in a little olive oil, sprinkle it with a little bit of coarse salt, prickle it with a fork, and bake it. 1 potato for maybe 6 minutes, 3 potatoes for maybe 10 or 11 minutes until they get squishy on the inside. Okay. All right. Well, what else can you do? Well, you're alone. You're alone, or you're only going to be with one other person or whoever, and you can do things that you wouldn't normally do if you're going out in public. Like, for instance, what you could do is try different looks. Okay, you could change your facial hair a little bit. That's mostly the guys, anyhow. Or what you could do is you could go with the homey hoodie look, or you could go with the Indiana Jones look, or you could do the sort of the hotshot sports guy look, or what you could do is the Frogman deal. Okay, whatever you want. Walk around the house, try it on, see how it works. Okay, if you're a gal, maybe makeup or something like that. You change that, or put on pigtails or hair braids or something. Try some different stuff. Okay, maybe this is the time for the black lipstick and fingernail polish. You know, I don't know. Anyhow, it's an idea. You could maybe. I'm going to be changing my car t-shirts every day instead of every 3 days. So that's pretty much it. You don't want to get into this thing where you're in pajamas all the time, slumping around. Okay? Anyhow, dress. Get dressed. Okay? Brush your teeth. Don't watch too much news. Maybe a total of 2 hours a day would be the max. A little in the morning, a little at night, maybe not even that much. And in between, do these other fun things. But now I do have a contest for you. And the contest is when you watch the president, okay, and his news conferences, and Pence comes on, count how many times the vice president licks Trump's behind. Okay, he's going to say the president did this, the president did that, the president did this, and that's pretty much all that Pence is good for, is to say that. Okay, I haven't seen him come up with anything original on his own. Okay, all right. Well, what else? Introduce the family to stuff that's old movies that are cool, that made an impression on you, but happened maybe before they were even born, or before they were watching movies and watching TV or whatever. And so I have a few movies that'll give you the idea of what I'm talking about. Now, first one is science fiction. Made a big impression on me, and what it was it was called Alien Mind, and it had Randy Quaid in it and Lou Gossett in it, and it's got some topics in it that are very germane to what's going on right now. Okay, and another movie for kids that my granddaughter really liked was The Incredible Mr. Limpet. It's Don Knotts. Now, little kids aren't going to know who Don Knotts was, but maybe you would remember that he was the shaky deputy in the Andy Griffith Show. Anyhow, it's a really funny movie for little kids to watch, and then afterwards give them a project to do. Have them draw pictures of it, or write something about it, or whatever. And it's a way of getting them to interact with you and see something they haven't seen before. And with adult movies, it's a way to get you to have a intellectual discussion with whoever else is in the house with you. For instance, there's a movie which you're going to either agree with or you're not going to agree with it. It's a Bill Maher movie. It's called Religulous, and it's all about how you feel about organized religion. And I guarantee you that it will instigate a bunch of discussion, whether you like it or not. Okay, what else? Okay, historical fiction. Well, there's lots of historical fiction out there, and a lot of times things that happen to people you know in your family, you can relate to whatever historical fiction that you're watching. Now, I have a buddy who was a pilot in Vietnam and afterwards, and he was dropping water on the big forest fire that happened around Libby, Wyoming. Well, they made a movie out of this, called it Always, and it starred Holly Hunter and Richard Dreyfuss and John Goodman. John Goodman played the role of my friend, actually. Anyhow, it's fun to see movies like that and relate them to history. Or you could read a Michener novel. That'll keep you busy for a while, too. Okay. Action. Well, you know, a lot of movies that are out there today are remakes of old movies. So get the old movie and watch that, and then the new movie, and then have a talk about it. Now, there's one called The Italian Job, which was using Mini Coopers, the original Mini Cooper from 1959, in a bank robbery, and the Mini Coopers were the star of the movie. Okay, and then they remade the movie after the new Mini Cooper came along. And it's fun to look at those two movies. One was an old British production, and the other one is a slick Hollywood production. Anyhow, it's fun to see how the movies have changed in the remakes. Okay, all right. Another thing you could do is get on YouTube and look up Rube Goldberg machines. Okay, now a Rube Goldberg machine is basically what you're seeing when you play the game Mousetrap. Okay, and if you don't know what Mousetrap is, well, look that up, or Rube Goldberg. And what it is when one thing hits another thing, and then that hits another thing, and it causes this long reaction, a chain reaction, dominoes flipping over and things swinging along. Anyhow, you can do one of these Rube Goldberg machines in your spare bedroom or all over your house, and do it with your kids, or put your kids to work doing it. Watch a few of them and then put your kids to work trying to do some of this stuff. It's really a lot of fun, and we can all share that together. Okay, so that would be a fun thing to do. Get some exercise. You can walk outside. Just remember that you don't want to touch doorknobs or car doors or banisters, okay, unprotected. So go over to the auto parts store. And mechanics use gloves all the time to protect themselves from these noxious chemicals that we use. So they probably still have some gloves over at the auto parts store if the auto parts store is open. Okay, don't steal them from your doctor. Anyhow, use Kleenex, or at least put on a pair of mittens or something when you go out and you're sloshing around. Don't kiss anybody. Okay? Inside, you can do the stairs a number of times. Do the stairs. That's good for you. You can do basic stretching exercises like we do, you know, when you have a bad back or something. You can do stretching exercises. Or if you know yoga, you can do yoga, or you can watch that being done on videos and try and duplicate some of those things. And if you do it with somebody else at the same time, you're more likely to do it, especially if you have set a certain time of day in the house at home to do it. Okay. Share jobs that need to be done with intellectual jobs that need to be done with your friends. Okay, if you have something that you're thinking about and you're not sure quite which way to go, ask somebody. There's a lot of people out there sitting at home waiting to help other people, okay, to help you think through things. And everybody feels better if they have done something to help somebody else. In our seclusion, we need other people to help us. I'm sending some stuff down to my son down in Austin for him to think about with me, okay, for Tools for Teens. Another thing you could do is there's a drawer in a desk somewhere in your house filled with snapshots, okay? And the snapshots are of all kinds of things, and most of them are things that happened before you had a digital camera, okay? So they're pictures that probably haven't been shared quite the same way. So if you have a picture of your dad in front of his first car, or somebody's wedding from 1960, or something like that, take your camera, take a picture of it, and send it to somebody that would get a kick out of it, okay? Or maybe if it's an interesting enough picture, just anybody, okay? And that might be a fun thing to do. Music. Share your favorite music, okay? There are songs and albums and people that your friends may not know anything about, okay? But you do. And let them in on the secret, okay? What you can do is think about it, more music, less news. Now, for me to calm me down, I have different kinds of jazz I listen to at different times of the day, or classical music. But if hip-hop is your gig, then play hip-hop to calm you down, okay? Pick up that instrument in the basement that's been ignored. It used to be your buddy. It used to be your friend. It used to be what you did all the time, okay? Maybe not so much these days. So pick it up and blow into it, or unless it's a piano, which won't work very well. But anyhow, what you do is make some noise with it. The instrument will appreciate it, and there's nobody out there that's going to be judging you on this. Just do it, harmonica or whatever. Now, if you don't play an instrument, there's no instruments in the house, then sing. Sing to yourself, hum, whistle, sing with your spouse. The internet is full of lyrics that you can get. Now, there's lyrics that have gone on, and I never bothered to listen to, like the Beach Boys' Ba Ba Baran. You know that song, Ba Ba Baran? I guess it's really Barbara Ann is what it's about, Barbara Ann. But I didn't know that till I finally looked up the lyrics. The other one is, when I was a kid, I sang this song, My Country Tisovie. Well, where the hell is Tisovie? Is that next to Estonia? I don't know. I didn't know what Tisovie was. Now I do. Okay. There's actually places on the internet where you can find out how you've misinterpreted songs all this time. Go back to your vinyl collection. Your vinyl collection is another good friend. It's been sitting around waiting for you all this time. And the beauty of vinyl collections is, as you listen to all this music, you were staring at the cover art. Cover art is gone. We've lost cover art, but it was so special and so cool that it alone can elicit memories of where you were when you first heard this album. And that's cool. It might have been that this song was being played the first time you ever danced, okay, with anybody. It just moved you so much you had to go out and dance. The Doors, Light My Fire. I love that song, and I finally, as a 13-year-old, had to go out and dance to the song. So, you know, Charlie Peffer's Living Room, I went and danced, and I put it on last night, and I danced with Lori around the living room with it. And it's not that it's that good music, but it's the thing that inspired me at the time. Read. You know that pile of books that's sitting next to your bed in the bedroom. There's books in there. There's magazines in there. And take those. Usually you fall asleep before you get a chance to read them. So take them in the living room and put them next to your favorite chair and start going through them. Okay? And do about half fiction and half nonfiction. And that way you're entertaining yourself, and you might be learning something at the same time. You get to go far away with the fiction and come in pretty close with the nonfiction. Okay. All right. Well, I'd say pass along pictures or sayings or writings or jokes to your friends. Okay. Online, on the phone, whatever. Silly jokes, doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, I'm going to send everybody a URL for something that I wrote. It's a funny little book that I wrote about ray guns, and this guy who travels all over the universe and stops at different places collecting these ray guns. It's full of poopy jokes and Yiddish and recipes, and it's really silly and stupid, and it'll take you far away from the coronavirus. Anyhow, I'll send you that URL. And I'm going to end with a stupid joke. Okay? So, there's two brothers and a cat and a mother. And one of the brothers, we'll call him the dutiful brother. He spends a lot of time taking care of the cat and his mother. And the other brother is out in the world doing all kinds of things. He's got a family. He's busy. He's doing all this, but not taking care of his mother so much. Well, what he decides is that his other brother, his dutiful brother, needs a break. He says, you should go. You've always wanted to go to Europe and England and explore, but you've been so, locked to helping your mother, so dutiful to your mother, our mother, that you haven't done it. You should go. I'll take care of things. Just leave it to me. I'll take care of things. Okay, so he finally convinces his dutiful brother to go off to Europe. So his brother gets over to England, and he's kind of worried, and he calls home. He talks to his other brother, and he says, well, how are things going? And the brother says, well, I've got some news for you. The cat died. And the dutiful brother slams down the phone. He walks all over Piccadilly Circus. He comes back and he calls his brother back. He says, you really didn't do that the right way. It really was too much of a shock. You're really upsetting me. Okay. I'm going to come home. He says, no, don't do that. So he says, well, next time something happens, okay, first what you should say is, well, the cat got outside and it climbed up in a tree. And the next time I call, you could say, well, the fire department came and they brought the cat down from the tree. And then the next time, the cat caught a cold. And then the next time, well, the cat, got pneumonia and passed quietly in its sleep. Okay. And the brother that's at home said, okay, that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Okay. And then the dutiful brother says, so, by the way, how's Mom? And the other brother says, well, she's up in a tree. Good shot.